Life is unpredictable. It gives us challenges, throws storms our way, and sometimes it knocks us down so hard that we forget how to stand again. But do you know what's even more dangerous than life's hardships? The things we allow to destroy us from within. Today, I will talk about 6 dangerous sins that can silently shatter your life if you don't recognize them in time. The power of choice is one of the greatest gifts given to us. It is the silent architect of our destiny, shaping our lives in ways we often don't even realize. Every decision we make, no matter how big or small, has the potential to define the course of our future. From the moment we wake up to the time we rest our heads at night, we are constantly making choices. Some choices seem insignificant: what to wear, what to eat, which route to take, but others have the power to alter our lives forever. The right choices lead us toward growth, success, and fulfillment, while the wrong ones can shatter our dreams, relationships, and sense of self. One of the most powerful realizations in life is understanding that we are where we are today because of the choices we made in the past. The person who wakes up every morning with a sense of purpose, working hard to achieve their goals, is where they are because they chose discipline over laziness. The person who is stuck in regret, burdened by mistakes, is also there because of the choices they made, whether out of fear, impulse, or ignorance. The beauty and tragedy of choice lie in the fact that no one else can make it for us. We hold the pen that writes our story, but too often we fail to recognize the weight of our decisions until it is too late. Every choice carries consequences, some immediate and some that unfold over time. A single decision can set off a chain reaction that either leads us to success or drags us down into failure. A student who chooses to procrastinate rather than study may not see the impact of that choice right away, but when the exam results arrive, reality hits hard. A person who chooses to ignore red flags in a toxic relationship may not feel the effects immediately, but years down the line, they may find themselves trapped in a cycle of pain and regret. The truth is, choices are not just isolated moments. They are seeds we plant, and eventually we must face the harvest. One of the most dangerous things we can do is make choices without thinking about the long-term impact. Many people choose temporary pleasure over lasting fulfillment. They choose shortcuts over hard work, comfort over growth, and instant gratification over discipline. It is easy to make choices based on what feels good in the moment, but true wisdom lies in looking beyond the present. It is about asking ourselves, will this choice bring me closer to the life I want, or will it take me further away? Fear often plays a significant role in the choices we make. We fear failure, so we don't take risks. We fear rejection, so we don't express our true feelings. We fear change, so we stay stuck in situations that no longer serve us. But what we don't realize is that avoiding choices is also a choice to remain stagnant, to let life happen to us instead of taking control of it. The most successful people in the world are not those who never faced failure or rejection. They are the ones who chose to push through despite it. They understood that fear should never be the deciding factor in making choices. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens to carry, and more often than not, it is the result of choices we wish we had made differently. People rarely regret failing. They regret not trying. They regret the chances they didn't take, the words they left unspoken, the dreams they never pursued. The weight of regret can be unbearable because, unlike failure, which teaches and strengthens us, regret lingers without offering redemption. It reminds us of what could have been had we only made a different choice. But the power of choice is not just about the past. It is also about the present and future. No matter how many wrong choices we have made, we always have the power to choose differently moving forward. Each day is an opportunity to rewrite our story, to make better decisions, to let go of what no longer serves us and embrace what does. The power to change our lives is not in the hands of fate, luck, or other people. It is within us, in the choices we make from this moment onward. The ability to choose is what separates those who live with purpose from those who drift through life without direction. It is what allows us to take control of our happiness, our success, and our peace of mind. The choices we make in relationships determine the quality of the people we surround ourselves with. The choices we make about our health dictate the strength and longevity of our bodies. The choices we make in our careers shape our professional growth and financial stability. Nothing in life happens by accident. Everything is a reflection of the choices we have made. It is easy to blame circumstances, bad luck, or other people for where we are in life, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to the choices we have made. We cannot always control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. We can choose to rise after a failure, to learn from our mistakes, to forgive those who have wronged us, and to keep moving forward even when the road is tough. Making the right choices is not always easy. It often requires sacrifice, patience, and discipline. It means saying no to things that are tempting but harmful, and yes to things that are difficult but necessary. It requires us to be honest with ourselves about what we truly want and to take responsibility for our actions. The truth is, our choices define us more than our circumstances ever will. The power of choice is both a privilege and a responsibility. It is what gives us control over our own lives, but it also demands that we make decisions with wisdom and awareness. When we recognize the power of our choices, we stop waiting for life to change and start taking action to change it ourselves. We stop making excuses and start taking accountability. We stop fearing failure and start embracing growth. Life is not just about what happens to us, it is about how we choose to respond. Every single choice we make either builds us up or tears us down. It either brings us closer to the person we want to be or further away from it. So before making any decision, ask yourself, is this choice shaping the life I want, or is it destroying the one I have? Because in the end, we are not the sum of our circumstances, we are the sum of our choices. Self-doubt is one of the most destructive forces in life. It is not the world, society, or circumstances that hold us back the most. It is the quiet yet persistent voice inside our own minds that whispers, "You can." This voice creeps in slowly, sometimes so subtly that we don't even realize it is taking control. It starts as a small hesitation, a moment of uncertainty, and before we know it, it grows into a force strong enough to paralyze us, stopping us from chasing our dreams, speaking our minds, and becoming the person we are meant to be. The most dangerous thing about self-doubt is that it makes us believe lies. It convinces us that we are not talented enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. It makes us think that success is for others, not for us. It keeps us trapped in fear, preventing us from stepping outside our comfort zones. When we doubt ourselves, we hesitate, and in that hesitation, opportunities slip away. We start avoiding challenges because we are too afraid to fail. We stop taking risks because we don't believe we can succeed. Eventually, we stop trying at all. Self-doubt is a thief that steals our potential. It robs us of experiences we could have had, relationships we could have built, and achievements we could have reached. It makes us settle for less than we deserve because we convince ourselves that we are not worthy of more. It makes us seek validation from others as if their opinions are more important than our own beliefs about ourselves. We wait for someone to tell us we are good enough, when the truth is we were always enough. We just didn't see it. This doubt often begins in childhood. Maybe someone told us we weren't smart enough, creative enough, or talented enough. Maybe we faced criticism that made us feel small, or we failed at something and convinced ourselves that failure defined us. Over time, these thoughts become ingrained in our minds. We repeat them to ourselves so often that they start to feel like the truth. The mind believes what it hears the most, and if we keep feeding it doubt, it becomes our reality. We stop dreaming big because we don't believe we are capable. We stop setting ambitious goals because we don't think we can reach them. We shrink ourselves to fit into a version of life that feels safe, even if it is not fulfilling. But the truth is, self-doubt is nothing more than a mental barrier, a wall we build in our own minds. And just as we built it, we can also tear it down. It is not a reflection of reality, but a product of our fears. The people who achieve greatness in life are not the ones who never feel doubt. They are the ones who feel it and push forward anyway. They are the ones who choose to believe in themselves even when no one else does. They understand that doubt is a part of growth, but it does not have to define their future. Imagine how many dreams have been lost because of self-doubt. How many books were never written, how many businesses were never started, how many talents were never shared with the world, all because someone thought they weren't good enough. The world is full of people with incredible potential, yet so many hold themselves back, not because they lack ability, but because they lack belief. And belief is everything. The moment we decide that we are capable, the moment we silence the voice that says, "You can't," everything changes. Self-doubt does not disappear overnight. It is something we have to fight every single day. It shows up in different forms, sometimes as fear, sometimes as hesitation, sometimes as an excuse. It disguises itself as logic, telling us to be realistic, when really it is just fear speaking in a different way. It makes us compare ourselves to others, convincing us that if someone else is better, we should not even try. But the truth is, no one starts as an expert. No one begins at the top. Every successful person was once a beginner, and the only difference between them and those who never succeed is that they refuse to let self-doubt win. The only way to defeat self-doubt is to take action despite it. We must move forward even when we feel uncertain. We must try even when we are afraid of failing. Confidence is not something we are born with. It is something we build by proving to ourselves that we are capable. The more we challenge our doubts, the weaker they become. The more we push through fear, the less power it has over us. It is easy to wait for the right moment, to wait until we feel ready, to wait for someone to reassure us. But waiting is just another form of self-doubt. The truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is no guarantee of success. There is only the choice to try or to let fear win. The world does not hold us back. Our own minds do. But the good news is, we have the power to change our thoughts, to rewrite the narrative, to replace doubt with belief. Imagine what would be possible if we stopped doubting ourselves. Imagine what we could achieve if we chose to believe in our abilities instead of questioning them. Every great achievement begins with a single decision, the decision to believe. Because in the end, the greatest obstacle we will ever face is not the world around us. It is the voice inside us that says, "You can't." And the moment we stop listening to that voice, we set ourselves free. Fear is a prison without walls, an invisible force that controls our lives more than we realize. It is not something we can see or touch, yet it has the power to hold us back from the life we are meant to live. It disguises itself as caution, as logic, as a protective shield, but in reality, it is nothing more than a barrier between us and the life we dream of. Fear whispers in our ears, filling our minds with doubts, making us question our abilities, our worth, and our purpose. It convinces us that stepping outside our comfort zones is too risky, that failure is too painful, and that rejection is unbearable. And so we stay where we are, trapped in a life that feels safe but unfulfilling, a life that is comfortable but far from extraordinary. The most dangerous thing about fear is that it feels real, even when it is not. It convinces us that we are not ready, that we are not capable, that we are not enough. It makes us hesitate when we should take action. It makes us stay silent when we should speak up. It makes us settle for less when we should be reaching for more. Fear tells us stories of everything that could go wrong, but it never tells us about everything that could go right. It makes us think about failure, but never about growth. It magnifies our weaknesses and blinds us to our strengths. We are not born with fear. It is something we learn over time. As children, we are fearless. We try, we fall, we get up again. We do not worry about what people will think or whether we will succeed or fail. But as we grow, we start listening to the voices around us, the voices that tell us to be careful, to play it safe, to avoid risks. We experience failure and begin to associate it with shame. We get rejected and start believing that rejection defines us. We make mistakes and convince ourselves that mistakes mean we are not good enough. Slowly, fear takes root in our minds, and without realizing it, we start making choices based on what we are afraid of rather than what we truly want. Fear does not just stop us from taking risks, it stops us from truly living. It keeps us in jobs we hate because we are too afraid to start over. It keeps us in relationships that drain us because we are scared of being alone. It stops us from pursuing our dreams because we fear failure. It makes us avoid opportunities, conversations, and experiences that could change our lives simply because they feel uncertain. We tell ourselves that we are being practical, but deep down we know the truth. We are just afraid. But the thing about fear is that it does not go away on its own. If we let it control us, it only grows stronger. The more we avoid what scares us, the more power fear has over us. The more we choose safety over courage, the smaller our world becomes. We convince ourselves that we are protecting ourselves from pain, but in reality, we are only protecting ourselves from growth, because true growth, real success, and genuine happiness all lie on the other side of fear. Everything we want, confidence, freedom, fulfillment, comes from facing fear, not avoiding it. Fear wants us to believe that we must feel ready before we take action. But the truth is, we will never feel ready. No one ever feels fully prepared for the challenges that come with chasing their dreams. No one ever starts out with unshakable confidence. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite fear. Every successful person we admire has felt fear. Every great leader, every innovator, every artist, every entrepreneur has faced the same doubts, the same insecurities, the same worries. The difference is they did not let fear stop them. They felt it, acknowledged it, and pushed through it. Fear is only as powerful as we allow it to be. It is nothing more than a thought, a feeling, an illusion. The moment we stop letting it dictate our choices, we take back control of our lives. We begin to realize that fear was never real in the first place. It was only a shadow, a reflection of our own doubts and insecurities. When we stop running from fear and start facing it, we discover that we are far more capable, far stronger, and far braver than we ever believed. Imagine a life without fear. What would be possible? What dreams would we chase? What risks would we take? What kind of person would we become? The truth is, we are not meant to live small, safe, and limited lives. We are meant to grow, to explore, to take chances. We are meant to fail and rise again, to struggle and learn, to dream and achieve. But none of that is possible if we allow fear to hold us back. The life we want is waiting for us, but it requires courage. It requires us to step outside our comfort zones, to take the leap, to trust that we are capable. Fear will always be there, whispering its lies, trying to keep us in the prison it has built around us. But we are the ones who hold the key. The question is, will we use it? Will we break free? Or will we let fear continue to control us, to define us, to limit us? Because in the end, the greatest risk is not taking any risks at all. The greatest failure is not failing, it is never trying. And the greatest tragedy is not that we felt fear, but that we let it stop us from becoming who we were meant to be. Comparison is one of the most dangerous and self-destructive habits that slowly erodes our happiness, confidence, and sense of self-worth. We live in a world where we are constantly exposed to the achievements, appearances, and lifestyles of others. Social media has made it easier than ever to see the highlights of someone else's life, and without realizing it, we start measuring ourselves against them. We see someone with a better job, a bigger house, a more attractive partner, or a seemingly perfect life, and suddenly what we have feels inadequate. We begin questioning our progress, doubting our abilities, and feeling as if we are not good enough. But the truth is, comparison is a trap. a never-ending cycle that only leads to frustration and self-doubt. The irony of comparison is that we compare our worst moments to someone else's best. We look at our struggles, our insecurities, and our flaws, and then we look at someone else's success, confidence, and strengths. We fail to see the full picture, the hard work, failures, and challenges that others have faced. We assume that they have it easier, that they are naturally better, that they were given something we were not, and in doing so, we diminish our own worth. We ignore our own strengths, our own journey, and our own progress because we are too focused on someone else's path. Comparison steals joy. It takes away our ability to appreciate what we have. Instead of being grateful for our own blessings, we become envious of others. Instead of celebrating our achievements, we feel they are not enough. We work hard, we accomplish something, but the moment we see someone doing better, our happiness fades. Nothing ever feels satisfying because there is always someone ahead. And the truth is, there will always be someone ahead. No matter how successful, talented, or beautiful we are, there will always be someone who appears to have more. But that does not mean we are not enough. The problem with comparison is that it makes us believe we are in a race with everyone else, when in reality, we are all on our own unique journeys. Life is not a competition. We are not meant to walk the same path as others. We all have different strengths, different backgrounds, and different timelines. Some people achieve success early while others take longer. Some people find love quickly while others take years. Some people are naturally gifted in certain areas while others have to work twice as hard. But none of this makes one person better than another. When we focus too much on others, we lose sight of ourselves. We try to change who we are to fit a standard that was never meant for us. We ignore our own dreams and chase after things that do not truly fulfill us just because we see others doing it. We let society's definition of success dictate our lives instead of defining it for ourselves. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of the chance to become who we were truly meant to be. True fulfillment comes from embracing our uniqueness, from recognizing that we have something special to offer the world. There is no one else exactly like us. No one else has our exact experiences, our exact perspective, our exact voice. But if we spend our lives trying to be like someone else, we lose what makes us special. We become a copy instead of an original. We were not born to live someone else's life. We were born to live our own. The only person we should compare ourselves to is the person we were yesterday. Instead of measuring our success against others, we should measure it against our own growth. Are we better than we were last year? Have we learned? Have we improved? Have we become kinder, stronger, more resilient? That is what truly matters. Growth is not about being the best, it is about being better than we were before. When we stop comparing, we free ourselves. We allow ourselves to appreciate our own journey, to celebrate our own victories, to find joy in our own way. We stop looking for validation from others and start finding it within ourselves. We recognize that our worth is not determined by how we measure up to someone else, but by how we see ourselves. Life is too short to waste time wishing to be someone else. There is beauty in being exactly who we are. There is power in embracing our own story. And the moment we stop comparing, we start living. Because true happiness does not come from being better than others, it comes from being at peace with ourselves. Ingratitude is a silent destroyer of joy, a slow poison that turns even the most beautiful moments of life into something ordinary and unremarkable. When we stop being grateful, we start being miserable. Not because life is unkind, but because we have chosen to focus on what is missing rather than what is present. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you for the good things in life. It is about recognizing that every single day is filled with blessings, even in the midst of challenges. But when we take those blessings for granted, we rob ourselves of happiness, contentment, and peace. The danger of ingratitude is that it shifts our focus from abundance to lack. Instead of appreciating what we have, we constantly think about what we do not have. We complain about the things that are not perfect rather than celebrating the things that are good. We see what is wrong in our lives instead of acknowledging what is right. This mindset makes it impossible to be truly happy, because no matter how much we achieve, how much we gain, or how much we succeed, it will never feel like enough. There will always be something more we want, something better we desire, and in chasing after those things, we forget to enjoy the present moment. Gratitude is not about having a perfect life. It is about recognizing the beauty in an imperfect one. Every single day, we wake up with a new chance to breathe, to love, to learn, and to grow. Yet, how often do we stop and appreciate that? We focus on what we lack, not realizing that there are people in the world who would give anything to have what we take for granted. We complain about our jobs while someone else prays for employment. We get frustrated with our families while someone else longs for a loved one they lost. We wish for a bigger house, a better car, or more money while someone else struggles just to have food on their table. When we stop being grateful, we lose perspective. We forget how blessed we truly are. Ingratitude also makes us blind to the efforts of others. We start expecting rather than appreciating. We take the kindness of loved ones for granted, assuming that they will always be there. We fail to acknowledge the sacrifices people make for us, thinking that it is simply their duty. Over time, this mindset creates distance in relationships. No one likes to feel unappreciated. Love, kindness, and generosity thrive in an environment of gratitude. But when appreciation is absent, these things begin to fade. The smallest act of gratitude, a simple thank you, a heartfelt acknowledgement can strengthen a bond, while ingratitude can weaken even the strongest relationships. One of the most tragic consequences of ingratitude is that it makes happiness impossible. When we are not grateful, we become bitter. We see life as unfair, focusing only on what has gone wrong rather than what has gone right. We compare ourselves to others and feel resentment rather than inspiration. We become trapped in a mindset of negativity, believing that happiness is something we can only achieve once we have more, do more, or become more. But the truth is, happiness is not something we find in the future. It is something we create in the present. And gratitude is the key to that happiness. Gratitude does not mean ignoring problems or pretending that life is perfect. It simply means choosing to see the good even when things are difficult. It means acknowledging that even in the hardest moments, there is something to be thankful for. The strongest people in the world are not those who have never faced struggles. They are the ones who have faced them with a grateful heart. They are the ones who, despite hardships, choose to see the lessons rather than just the pain. They are the ones who, instead of focusing on what they have lost, appreciate what they still have. Life is unpredictable. Nothing is guaranteed. The things we take for granted today could be gone tomorrow. Health, loved ones, opportunities, everything can change in an instant. That is why gratitude is so powerful. It allows us to fully experience the present, to cherish what we have while we have it, and to create a life that is rich in meaning rather than just material success. When we practice gratitude, we shift our focus from what is missing to what is already here. We start seeing the beauty in small moments, the laughter of a friend, the warmth of the sun, the kindness of a stranger. We begin to understand that joy does not come from having more, but from appreciating what we already have. When we stop being grateful, we allow negativity to take over our hearts. We find reasons to complain rather than reasons to celebrate. We see problems instead of possibilities. We focus on what is wrong instead of what is right. But when we choose gratitude, everything changes. We realize that happiness is not about having a perfect life. It is about having the right perspective. And the right perspective is one that sees every day as a gift, every challenge as an opportunity, and every moment as something to be cherished. Negativity is one of the most destructive forces in our lives. It is not just a habit, it is a mindset, a way of thinking that shapes the way we see the world, the way we interact with others, and ultimately the way we live. The words we speak and the thoughts we entertain define the reality we live in. If our minds are filled with negativity, then no matter how good our circumstances are, we will always find something to complain about, something to be unhappy with, something to criticize. But if we train ourselves to focus on the positive, we begin to see the world differently. We realize that life is not about what happens to us, it is about how we choose to respond. Negativity does not appear overnight. It grows slowly, feeding on small disappointments, frustrations, and fears. It starts with minor complaints about the weather, about traffic, about a difficult day at work. Over time, these small complaints turn into a pattern of thinking. We start expecting the worst, assuming that things will not go our way, and believing that life is unfair. We surround ourselves with negative thoughts, and soon we become blind to the good that exists all around us. The more we focus on negativity, the more we attract it into our lives. It is a vicious cycle, one that can rob us of joy, success, and peace of mind. One of the most dangerous things about negativity is that it affects not only us, but also the people around us. Our words and energy influence others more than we realize. When we constantly speak negatively, we spread doubt, fear, and discouragement. We drain the energy of those around us. Relationships suffer, friendships fade, and opportunities disappear because no one wants to be surrounded by negativity. People are drawn to those who uplift, who inspire, who bring light into their lives. But when we focus on the negative, we push people away without even realizing it. Negativity is a choice, just like positivity is. Every day, we have the power to decide what kind of thoughts we allow into our minds. If we fill our minds with negative thoughts, thoughts of failure, of doubt, of anger, we create a world in which those thoughts become our reality. If we tell ourselves that we are not good enough, we will act as if that is true. If we convince ourselves that life is unfair, we will only see injustice. If we believe that things will never change, they never will. But if we shift our mindset, if we start choosing thoughts of possibility, of hope, of gratitude, we begin to see a different world. We start noticing opportunities instead of obstacles. We begin believing in ourselves rather than doubting. We start creating a reality where happiness and success are possible. Negativity is also one of the biggest obstacles to personal growth. When we are trapped in negative thinking, we resist change. We find excuses instead of solutions. We focus on what we cannot do instead of what we can. We tell ourselves that we are stuck, that things will never get better, that we do not have what it takes to succeed. This mindset kills ambition before it even has a chance to grow. It keeps us in the same place, doing the same things, living the same life year after year. The truth is, our potential is limitless, but only if we allow ourselves to see it. The moment we stop focusing on what is wrong and start focusing on what is possible, we begin to unlock new levels of success and happiness. Negativity is not just about the words we speak. It is also about the thoughts we allow to take root in our minds. If we constantly entertain negative thoughts, they become our truth. Thoughts like, I will never succeed, I am not smart enough, people will always disappoint me, create a reality where those beliefs become real. But if we start replacing those thoughts with empowering ones, I am capable, I can learn, I deserve happiness, our reality shifts. The words we speak and the thoughts we think are like seeds planted in the soil of our minds. If we plant seeds of negativity, we will harvest frustration, failure, and misery. But if we plant seeds of positivity, we will harvest confidence, success, and joy. Negativity is also fueled by the people we surround ourselves with. If we are constantly around those who complain, criticize, and focus on the worst in life, we will absorb that energy. It is almost impossible to maintain a positive mindset in a toxic environment. That is why it is so important to be mindful of the people we spend time with. We should seek out those who uplift us, who challenge us to be better, who see the good in the world. And we should also strive to be that kind of person for others. Instead of bringing negativity into conversations, we should bring encouragement. Instead of tearing tearing people down, we should lift them up. Instead of focusing on problems, we should look for solutions. Negativity is a habit, but like any habit, it can be broken. It starts with awareness, recognizing when we are falling into patterns of negative thinking. It continues with intentionality, choosing moment by moment to replace negativity with positivity. It requires practice, discipline, and commitment, but the rewards are life-changing. A positive mindset attracts success, strengthens relationships, and creates a life filled with joy and fulfillment. At the end of the day, we are the architects of our own reality. The words we speak, the thoughts we entertain, the energy we give off, all of these things shape the world we live in. We can choose to live in a world of negativity, where everything is a problem, where nothing is ever enough, where life feels like a constant struggle. Or we can choose to live in a world of possibility, where every challenge is an opportunity, where every failure is a lesson, where every day is a gift. The choice is ours. Pain is an inevitable part of life. Every person experiences loss, disappointment, heartbreak, and failure. It is the price we pay for being human, for daring to love, for striving to achieve, and for simply existing. Pain in its essence is not our enemy, it is a teacher. It has the power to shape us, to strengthen us, and to lead us toward wisdom. However, when we refuse to let go of pain, when we hold on to it as if it defines us, it no longer serves as a lesson. It becomes a prison. It traps us in the past, steals our present joy, and dims our future possibilities. Holding on to pain is like carrying a heavy burden on our shoulders every single day. It drains our energy, clouds our judgment, and prevents us from moving forward. We replay old wounds in our minds, reliving the betrayal, the rejection, the loss, as if doing so will somehow change what happened. But no amount of revisiting the past can undo it. The pain remains, not because it still has power over us, but because we refuse to release it. Instead of using pain as a stepping stone to growth, we allow it to define our existence, and in doing so, we become prisoners of our own suffering. The problem with holding on to pain is that it turns into resentment. The hurt caused by others festers within us, growing into anger and bitterness. We blame those who have wronged us, believing that our suffering is their fault, but in reality, the person who hurt us may have moved on while we remain stuck, reliving the wound. We give them power over our emotions, allowing their actions to dictate our peace. Forgiveness, not for them, but for ourselves, is the only way to break free. It is not about forgetting the pain or justifying the hurt. It is about refusing to let it control us any longer. Pain also distorts the way we see the world. When we cling to old wounds, we start expecting pain in every situation. We become guarded, afraid to trust, hesitant to open our hearts again. We assume that new relationships will end in the same heartbreak, that new opportunities will lead to the same disappointment. In trying to protect ourselves from future pain, we end up building walls so high that we shut out not only the hurt, but also the love, the joy, and the beauty that life has to offer. We become prisoners of fear, unable to embrace the present because we are too busy holding on to the ghosts of the past. One of the most tragic consequences of holding on to pain is that it makes us lose sight of our own growth. Every painful experience carries a lesson, a chance to evolve into a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate version of ourselves. But when we refuse to let go, we miss the lesson. We see only the wound, not the strength it built within us. We see only the loss, not the resilience it forced us to develop. Pain is meant to be a chapter in our story, not the entire book. It is meant to teach us, not to define us. Letting go of pain is not easy. It requires effort, patience, and a conscious decision to release what no longer serves us. It is not about pretending the hurt never happened, but about choosing not to let it dictate our future. It is about acknowledging the lesson, taking what we need from it, and then allowing ourselves to heal. Healing does not mean forgetting. It means finding peace despite the scars. It means recognizing that our past pain does not have to shape our future happiness. Life is too short to be spent carrying the weight of old wounds. There is so much joy waiting to be experienced, so much love waiting to be given, so many opportunities waiting to be embraced. But we cannot fully embrace them if our hands are still clutching the pain of yesterday. We must be willing to release, to forgive, to move forward, not for the sake of those who hurt us, but for our own freedom. Because pain is a teacher, but clinging to it makes us prisoners. And we were never meant to live in chains. Your past mistakes do not define you. Your failures do not define you. The only thing that defines you is what you choose to do next. Let go of these sins before they destroy you. Choose courage over fear. Choose gratitude over complaints. Choose healing over pain. And most importantly, choose yourself. Because you are enough. You have always been enough.